Hello there. Tonight we're going to talk about the bass guitar. Now, first thing we need to do is decide what bass we're going to use. Remember, what we're trying to achieve is a smooth, funky, late 70s West Coast studio sound. So, what options have we got? Do we want to use a Hohner copy of a fretless Steinberger straight out of the 80s? Not even Tears for Fears rocked that bad boy. We could have a go with a fretless acoustic bass. That should sound a little bit like an upright. Could be interesting. We could also try maybe a fretless Warwick bass. The dude from Jamiroquai rocked one of those. It's certainly funky. We could have a go with Music Man. Now, Bernard Edwards from Chic used a Music Man, so we're definitely heading in the right direction with this bad boy. What we need is a Fender Precision bass. This was designed by Leo Fender in the 50s. It's been used on more records than any other type of bass guitar. It has a deep, pillowy, throaty, woody tone, which sits absolutely perfectly in the mix with very little EQ, is smooth, articulate, and perfect to recreate that sexy 1970s West Coast funky studio vibe. So let's talk a little bit about what we do in order to make the bass guitar sit really nicely in a mix and to give it that kind of authentic West Coast studio sound. Here we have our channel for the bass guitar. At the moment, I've turned all of the effects off and I've just given it a little bump in gain so that we can hear it clearly. And straight off the bat, it actually sounds pretty good. Now, first thing that we're going to do is, as we did with the Fender Rhodes, we're going to record it through a tape emulation, because of course in the 70s you recorded to tape. Then I'm going to squeeze the sound with a compressor with a fairly fast attack and a very low ratio, just to squeeze the whole thing to even out the volume overall. Then there is another compressor, which this time we have a much slower attack to let the transients through. This one is going to be ensuring that the loudest notes get clamped down on pretty rapidly. Then I have an emulation of a classic piece of studio hardware which is distorting slightly because analog electronics is imperfect, and so this gives the impression of an imperfect channel. Then we have a little bit of EQ. As you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm taking out a bit of woolliness in the lower mids, and then taking out the very low end, which is just kind of rumble, and then the top end, I have reduced the top end, just rolled it off gently so that it doesn't sound quite as kind of clangy as it could do. Given a little bump at 690 just to help it cut through. And then finally we have another channel emulation. This is a tube, an emulation of a tube mixing desk, which was kind of popular in the early 70s, and so they were kind of left around in studios well into the late 70s. And I'm just kind of pushing this just a little bit to give it another bit of distortion to the signal. Now, those distortions you might think would be ugly, but in the context of a record and the recording process, they are an essential part of making the sound authentic and making it sound as if it's been recorded through analog mixing desks onto a tape and through analog compressors. And so this is what we end up with.